Why did they pick on Davina McCall?
Oh, that was just fun.
Wait, how did you do that?
I spent a long, hot summer with Harry Houdini.
Oh, yeah, I bet you did. Howdy, all. I'm Adam, the Renaissance Nerd, and welcome to my review of the Doctor Who Christmas 2023 special, starring Ncuti Gatwa, who is Ncuti Gatwa. That's right. We are here. We are now. Once upon a time, Doctor Who Christmas special was something you looked forward to. You waited with bated breath. You wondered what magical story you were going to witness. What was the Doctor going to do to capture your heart? What poignant moment, what poignant story, what poignant theme was the Doctor going to deliver to you? Not so much anymore, because as we well know, R.I.P. Doctor Who is dead. What we witness today, this day, year of our Lord, December 25th, 2023, is the desecration of a corpse. Now, we're going to talk about what happens in the episode. We're going to talk about Ncuti Gatwa's performance. We're going to talk about the bad writing, the bad pacing, the sheer idiocy of this story. A lot of it makes too much sense. The pieces just don't quite fit together for coherent storytelling. Russell T Davies cannot do it anymore. It's that plain and that simple. Therefore, without further ado, let the review begin.
From falling down on my From falling down on my
We start this whole silly affair with a splash across your screen reminding you this is now the Whoniverse. That's just what we want to see. Another verse, a tired, played-out idea that is nothing but a piece of modern storytelling trash to make up for the fact that you don't have real stories to tell. You're just stretching out concepts between different so-called shows in order to feel like it's one giant, interconnected, broad, epic tale. This is Doctor Who. It should always just be Doctor Who. Yes, there have been spin-offs, there have been sideshows, but it still is just Doctor Who. At least it was for 50 to 55 years. Past 6 years, not so much. We begin now, the church on Ruby Road. We have a voiceover about a woman leaves a baby on a church and a man watches her leave it. It's very sad and concerned. What we see is the lady bringing a baby to the church. Then there's Ncuti Gatwa stepping out of the TARDIS to witness the affair and look all sad. Priest comes out, picks up baby. The girl is named Ruby because of the church is on Ruby Road. Yay! Great storytelling. We've cut to the present. Ruby, played by Millie Gibson, who is attractive. We get a plus for that. Millie Gibson, hot little number. She needs to not bleach her hair. She should go with what her roots are showing, but we'll come back to that another day. But she is an attractive young lady. I give them props for that. See what happens when you put something nice on screen? I smile. She's given an interview with some lady who's doing a show about finding your parents. They call her a foundling and say, "You've been foundled." Something was foundled on this set, but I don't think it was Millie Gibson. They call her this and that. Meanwhile, as they give the discussion, when they babble back and forth in some really generic, very stale, blip, fast-paced writing, Russell T Davies, you really can't do it anymore, can you? We see things are happening in the studio. Plugs are getting pulled out. Wires are being moved. And then a little claw moves some chick's cup, so she'll trip over the cord and have a chain of events that ends up with the plug whipping around and smacking the interview lady in the back of the head. Meanwhile, this is how we get introduced to the fact that Ruby has bad luck. And that's the reason when we cut to a nightclub scene in a little bit, Ncuti Gatwa is watching her in a fake Tom Baker hat. Ruby's on stage singing with a band, or actually playing with the band. The singer is actually a dude in a dress. Yes, I said it. Cry about it. Leave your dislike in a comment and now go away. She's on her band being watched, and then she's in a nightclub watching everybody dance. And who does she see in the middle of the floor? Shooty Gatwa and a wife beater and a kilt. Yes, we've seen this clip a million times in the trailer. We've all made fun of it. But in context of the show, he's doing that because he's following her because of her bad luck. He finds it abnormal. What I want to say about this, though, is why do you have to have him flamboyantly dancing in the middle of the club? Why? It's a nightclub, Adam. He's gay. Shooty Gatwa is gay. The doctor does not have to be. The doctor does not have to be flamboyantly homosexual. It's stupid. It's lame. It's not the doctor. And this now begins my criticism of Shooty Gatwa. Now, I'm going to say here in the beginning, Shooty Gatwa is not obnoxious and mean and insufferable like Jodie Whittaker. He's just a bit of a clown. His performance lacks no gravitas. Whenever they try to create gravitas, as we'll talk about in the third act, it's manufactured. It doesn't feel original, doesn't come from within him. It's tacked onto him in the situation. But again, we'll get back to that. He gives an average performance overall. There's nothing special about him except I smile and I'm very flamboyant and I make big gestures. You understand that? She's about to knock over a drink because the goblins have again moved the drink so she knocks it over. And as she does it, here comes Shooty Gatwa to capture the glass and put it back on the table, make a silly joke about being health inspector for gin and tonic division. Then they have a conversation about bad luck, blah, blah, blah. It's also that we can have them have their first real meeting, and it's glib, and it's not deep. And if everything is to be believed about going forward, this is what their exchanges are going to be like, because we're going to see these exchanges through the rest of the episode. We're going to talk at each other. Yay! That's what it's going to be. Two high school girls gabbing at each other. This is not serious. As I said, when they try to be serious, it feels manufactured. It doesn't come from within. We now cut to the outside of the club. Ruby and her friends, including the dude in the dress who's pretending to be a girl because it's not a girl, it's a dude. They get in the car. We see the goblins are messing with this giant snowman attached to a building. We obviously they're going to try and make it fall on her or near her because she's got the bad lucks that they like. We'll get to that in a bit. We'll tell you how stupid it all is. Shooty Gatwa is still following her. He manages to use his fake new weird-ass looking sonic screwdriver to keep the giant snowman from falling on them. As he's about to give himself a nice hearty pat on the ass to congratulate himself for the successful save, here comes a lady with a stroller. He rushes out there to try and stop her, only to have the snowman head fall on him. Don't worry, he's fine. He comes out of it, and he has a yap with her about why are you pushing a baby at midnight when it turns out to be her groceries. This is just a wasted scene. There's several moments in this episode. It's just wasted time. It's just blah, 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 an excuse to have Shooty Gatwa on the scene and try and show how clever he is when he's not clever. He's, in fact, boring, lame, stupid at times. Here's the next example of that. This scene continues. Shooty Gatwa tries to go back to the TARDIS when he's stopped by a cop who asks if he's okay. They get into this whole weird conversation about how the new Sonic can sense he has a diamond ring in his pocket, which means he's going to propose to his wife, his fiancée tomorrow. She's going to accept because she loves him, because why is she waiting? It's this retarded conversation just so we can pretend that Shooty Gatwa is clever. It's boring, it's lame, it's just wasting our time. We move on to the next day. Ruby's coming home from shopping for Christmas. She comes across this old lady and this other neighbor dude arguing in front of her building because the TARDIS is sitting right there. Remember this lady. We're going to come back to her a few times in this for some weird-ass reason. Ruby goes upstairs. Before they do that, though, the goblins screw with her paper bag and she drops her eggs on the ground. Blah, blah, yes, the bad luck. Do you sense it here? The bad luck is a thing created by the goblins, or at least latched onto by the goblins surrounding Ruby. She goes inside. We now meet her foster family, her adoptive family. This is a good thing. One of the things that Doctor Who remembers about its origins. Family is not necessarily blood. It's who's part of your life, who you have strong connections with, strong bonds with, and that's what makes a family. That's a good theme. It's a classic Doctor Who theme, and that's okay. Do they beat you over the head with it in this? Yes, they beat you over the head so much you're bleeding out of your ears. We'll get to that. Trust me, we'll get to it. It's part of the bad pacing, part of the bad storytelling of this entire crap fest. We learned very quickly that her foster mother, they're expecting a newborn baby. They have to foster it for a few days. Here comes the lady with the baby. Mother wants to get some stuff. Ruby's left in charge of the grandmother and the baby while the mother goes and gets some stuff. Since she says very cleanly, don't lose the baby. What horrible, lame foreshadowing. The mom leaves and Ruby's left in charge of the baby and the grandma. The baby, whose name is Lulu Bell, they keep making a stupid run-on gag joke throughout this entire episode about how the name is horrible, it's terrible, until Ncuti Gatwa says, hey, it's a wonderful name, it's beautiful. Then suddenly Lulu's beautiful. Also, there's the grandmother who keeps wanting a cup of tea. They make that joke over and over again for the entire episode. Are you seeing a running theme here? These bad jokes, no humor. I didn't laugh once in this episode. Ruby's left in charge. She gets a phone call from the lady who did her interview about finding her parents using DNA. Bad news is they can't find anything. Ruby will never find her birth parents, and let's all be sad for Ruby. Meanwhile, interview lady says, Ruby, have you had a lot of bad luck lately? Because it seems to rub off on me. I've been run over by hippos and elephants and cars and things. I don't know what to do anymore. How do I make it go away? Ruby's going, oh, I'm so sorry. What can we do? It's not really my fault. It's the goblins, and then the goblins kill her by pushing the Christmas tree over, and the star's going to impale her on the head. While Ruby was on the phone, however, the goblins take the baby. They take poor little Lulu Bell. Ruby's going to go outside to try and save her after finding a weird picture of the goblins. That's going to come back for another really bad joke later on. She's going to go out the window to save the baby, and the adventure now begins. Well, I wouldn't quite call this an adventure. I'd call it a terrible chain of events that are boring and silly and stupid.
The glove takes all my weight. All the weight is in the glove. So nothing burns, nothing pulls, nothing hurts. Ta-da!
I'm lightweight.
Yeah, all the mass and density and gravity exists in the glove.
Ruby is out the window, climbing up the side of the building. She spots the goblins. Yes, we get a full look at the goblins now. One of them is wearing a Christmas hat for some reason. Hisses at her. She gives him some sass about hissing at her. Okay, a little over the top, poorly done, whatever. They climb up the ladder as the baby's hoisted into the sky, and Ruby jumps on the ladder too. Okay, she's got to save that baby. Ladder starts to move off the building. She's trapped, hovering over the street below, nowhere to go, losing her grip. And here comes Ncuti Gatwa yelling at her. Why did you grab onto the ladder? Who grabs onto a ladder? They've got the baby! Then in a very strange, I guess it's bad editing, you see him when he's running on the buildings. The ladder is here, and here's the building, and he's running along the building. He then leaps, and suddenly the ladder's over here at the end of the building. Like, really bad jump cut. Very bad jump cut. He's now on the ladder. He smiles, hi. He does his Ncuti smile. She goes, what are you doing here? I know you. You were at the club. Well, I'm here now. I'm here to help you out. We're going to save the baby and all this stuff. But we're having a hard time holding on to the ladder. So what do? I'm going to break out these gloves I've invented that will shift our weight all the way into gloves. There's a really bad scientific explanation, once again, to try and make Ncuti Gatwa sound clever. And when he does have the gloves on, he then, during the explanation, after he turns it on and going, oh, well, look, I'm floating, I'm weightless, he actually says the word, you heard it in the transition clip, he said mavity. Goddamn asshole said mavity. If you are not familiar why I'm making a big deal out of him saying mavity, during the 60th specials in Wild Blue Yonder, he said mavity because gravity got changed to mavity during the Isaac Newton scene. First of all, he should have been protected by that because of the TARDIS. Well, just Russell T. Davies, you suck. After the mavity explanation, they get hoisted up. Ncuti Gatwa was very excited to be up there. They get captured by the goblins, and now we get a big moment where they get to talk to each other about things. Among the things discussed is about luck and coincidence and bad luck and this and that, and how these creatures are not time travelers. Gets very annoyed when she calls them time travelers because he makes a statement that they slip through time and they follow her and that they're the source of her bad luck. They made it that because they might feed off coincidence, and now coincidence is his new science, or luck is his new science that he's trying to understand. It's this really poorly written, cobbled together reason for this whole episode existing, this whole series of circumstances existing, and it's stupid. Luck creates coincidence. When the goblins get a smell of coincidence and luck, they create bad luck because it flavors a baby and makes the baby tasty. That's the center of everything the goblins are doing. They skip through time to make a baby tasty through bad luck. And Ruby had a lot of bad luck. Mind you, when she criticizes them as being time travelers, remember this part. Just remember this part. We're going to come back to it at the end of the episode. Ncuti Gatwa gets all upset that she dared call them a time travelers because time travelers are cool. They're awesome. They're excellent. After freeing himself from the ropes, he lets them out. He begins to look around the room they've been held in, and now we get this whole thing about how he's learning the language of ropes because in these goblins' world where they come from, ropes are how they do everything. There's no screwdrivers for the screwdriver to work with. He figures out the language of ropes. They get out there. Here we go. This is where this show really gets even dumber. They come along the main hold of the ship. The goblins begin to sing. I will not play it because I don't want to take a chance at really attracting the algorithm. Let me just say that female goblin leading the singing, here she is. I bet you dollars to donuts there are already creeps out there making spank bank material of the goblin chick. I guarantee it. They have this big song about how babies are tasty with bad luck. And they're seasoning it and they're complaining watching it. All to give us the reveal of the Goblin King. No, not David Bowie. This is their Goblin King. A giant fat thing that never speaks and just roars and wants to have the baby conveyor belted into its mouth. Well, Ncuti Gatwa then pulls on another rope and gets things started. They fall through. They land on the conveyor belt. The song stops. Here's where you would expect the doctor to do something clever. The doctor would do something clever. He would give a speech. He would distract them magnificently. Something goes on. No. What does Ncuti Gatwa do? Ncuti Gatwa decides to sing too. He decides to strike up the beat again and sing at them and then have Ruby sing as well. So while they're singing, that's the big clever distraction as the main rope knot that's holding the whole ship together comes undone so that they can grab a rope with the glove on again and fall away down to the ground safely, pulling the ship with them because he put all the gravity into the glove and escape. And then the goblins are going to go away angry. Now, you have a little moment here, which I don't really understand why they did this, because it doesn't seem to really matter later on, where he mentions the gloves only have 3% power left. I don't understand why he says this, because it doesn't seem to matter when it matters the most. And it might have been a cool moment if they'd actually played up on the fact that the invention was going to fail, but I'm getting ahead of myself. They've saved little Lulu Bell. They go back into the house just before Mom gets home, but here we go now. Let's have another setup, and here's the example of some of the bad pacing, bad storytelling, bad writing of this episode. They get little Lulu Bell in there. Grandma makes another bad joke about not getting her tea, and suddenly Ncuti Gatwa's afraid that the goblins are going to come back because there's a big storm cloud outside. Gotta death-proof the house, because the bad luck is still there. They're moving things all over the place so nothing falls over, nothing catches on fire. But in the middle of it all, we have to stop and get an explanation about why there are pictures on the fridge. We have to take a moment and stop the preparation for the next round of the attack to talk about Ruby's 33 foster siblings. We take a very long and drawn-out explanation of where she comes from, why she loves her family, why she's appreciative of this. We just stopped the momentum right in the tracks. We had all this momentum to build up. The goblins are going to come back. They're going to cause a horrible accident in the house. We got to be ready for it. No, let's stop to talk about how great family is and how great the bonds that aren't necessarily blood are. Like I said earlier, that's a great Doctor Who theme, one that should be talked about and remembered. But don't beat us over the head with it and just draw the entire episode to a screeching halt. It's ridiculous. This is an example that Russell T Davies doesn't know what he's doing anymore, that he cares more about getting messages across than telling a good, well-flowing, well-thought-out story.
Why would I want a daughter when I'm happy as I am?
Then why are you crying?
I don't know. Why are you?
Victory seems to be at hand. Mom comes home. As she gets home, Shooty and Ruby have a little moment of what you will expect to see for the rest of Shooty's run. Their little, we're just two girls gabbing at each other, we're not serious at all, where they're going, what are you doing? They have this little quick whispery, the kind of thing when an adult walks into a room and two kids get caught doing something wrong and they have their little whisper argument. That's what we have. That is what Doctor Who has been reduced to. Two girls whispering frantically at each other instead of the Doctor, thousands and thousands of years old Doctor, because he's not millions of years old. We're not playing that goddamn game. Behaving like a high school girl. That's where we are. So Mom gets home. She asks, how's everything going? They somehow dodge around explaining everything. The old, this is the Doctor. All I see is Shooty Gatwa. This and that. They have a nice little couple of exchanges where Shooty Gatwa says, I recently found out I was adopted. Because again, they're going to beat you over the head with not only that the Timeless Children is still canon, but the whole, hey, yes, and family bonds, not blood, blah, 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 blah. Russell T Davies. Remember when you used to do show don't tell really well? Well, maybe you don't, because you can't do it anymore. Ruby decides to have a meltdown at this moment in order to remind us how great the family bonds are, as she reveals, oh, the interview lady called me before all this stuff happened, and I'm not going to have my birth parents, my DNA didn't find anybody. Again, it's not entertaining when you beat us over the head with it. It's just not. Meanwhile, outside, clouds are gathering. The goblins are readying for their attack, only it doesn't happen how we expect. A giant crack runs through the entire apartment. Shooty Gatwa runs around frantically trying to figure out what's going on. When he comes back, though, and my eagle keen eye noticed that suddenly there were changes in the visuals of the apartment. The Christmas atmosphere is gone. All the pictures on the refrigerator are gone. He goes back into the room. Ruby is gone. The picture of the goblin, which was there and the mother was complaining about 2 moments ago. Why does it look like this? Oh, it's a toy. No, it's not. Again, really bad humor. Really bad humor. Ruby's gone, though. She's gone, disappeared. And then we get what I referred to earlier in this review. Manufactured drama. Yes. Does drama come from the story? True. Situations create drama. But it requires a performance to draw the audience in to feel the magnitude of the drama, and Shooty Gatwa cannot do it. We get to a moment, you saw it in the transition clip, they're in the kitchen, the adoptive mom is basically saying how her entire life has just been nothing because she never had a daughter. She just does this adoption stuff for a little bit of money here and there, and she begins to cry, and Shooty Gatwa says, then why are you crying if you're so complete and fulfilled with your life? She looks back at him, why are you crying? And there is Shooty Gatwa crying. 60 years. Granted, I haven't seen every episode of Doctor Who, but I don't remember the Doctor being pussified like this. It's okay for a grown man to cry. I have my reasons when I shed a tear now and then. emotional moments. I'm not going to deny my cold little black nerd heart doesn't feel these things. But this is blatant and lame, and it's emasculating the way he does it. To have the full-on double tears running down his cheeks. They even make sure you see the tear rolling. This is not Doctor Who. This is Care Bear Candyland crap. They have this big conversation about emptiness, life, what it means to be fulfilled, although it's done with zero soul, zero gravitas, and Ncuti is just playing off the moment, not drawing you into the moment. This is why I said earlier, his performance is average. It's not special. His doctor has no moment. He had 2 or 3 opportunities already in this episode to have a doctor moment, and all he says to her is, "Why are you crying?" He doesn't give a speech. He doesn't make a poignant moment. He doesn't draw us in. He doesn't make us feel the power, the immense knowledge that the doctor possesses. All he's seen, that 1,000 light year stare that he should have. We don't feel it. We feel nothing. All we see is a grown man crying, and he asks another woman, "Why are you crying if you're so fulfilled?" Nothing. None of it. This is why Ncuti Gatwa has already failed in this series. Back to the story. We're not done yet. There's still a little more stupid to be had. He then realizes he can fix it all. He goes outside. We make sure that we see as he disappears, the weird old lady neighbor sees him disappear in the TARDIS. We'll come back to her yet again at the end of it. Ncuti realizes that they've gone back in time and kidnapped Rose. They, the goblins. So wait a minute. I thought the goblins only skipped through time, slided through time. They're not really time travelers. Well, they went back in time. Instead of letting Ruby be picked up in front of the church, they take her. Ncuti Gatwa arrives just as Ruby's mom is leaving her. Instead of going after her, runs to save Ruby, watches the goblins pull her up. He quickly grabs onto the ladder, and as he's getting pulled up, turns on his gloves. Remember when I said this would have been a cool moment? He mentioned how the gloves were almost out of energy. Well, they had enough energy without even making it an issue to turn super gravity into his hands and pull the entire airship down. Now, the screaming stands out there going, "Oh, cool, look at that, he's pulling the ship down with his bare hands." You know what I see? I see a manufactured moment that could have been really cool if the gloves had failed him and he had to do a doctor thing to save the day. But no, Ncuti Gatwa just pulls it down really, really hard so that he pierces the ship with the top of the church. And what does he do when he does that? He kills the Goblin King. That's right, the doctor killed the Goblin King. That's not what the doctor does. But that's what Ncuti Gatwa does. No, there's no going up there and somehow having a conversation, somehow turning around, somehow making it a moment of let's all figure this out without anybody having to die. Nope. I'm Ncuti Gatwa. I'm just going to gank your fat goblin ass. And the Goblin King, who's obviously a king, a leader, never says a word in this. All he does, like I said earlier, is roar and wait for the baby to be conveyor belted into his mouth. That's all he does. Once again, Ncuti Gatwa fails. There is no doctor moment. Nothing. The ship, after the Goblin King stabs, vanishes. He catches baby Ruby, puts her back on the church steps. Priest brings her inside. He watches mom walk away and then gets back in the TARDIS, goes back to present day where everything's normal again. Yay! Hooray! Doctor just saved the day without really doing anything except grabbing a ladder and killing people. Goes inside. Everything's back to normal. Ruby's happy to see him. Reunited moment. Oh, we're so happy. I'm going to jump and swing you around because we're besties now for resties. After a quick farewell, he leaves. Looks a little sad. It's a conversation with the lady out front who magically seems to know all about him in the TARDIS. Now, will that be a storyline that's going to come around later in next season? Who knows? We'll see. But she knows all about it. Thanks him for all his timey-wimey crap. He goes in the TARDIS, but the TARDIS doesn't disappear. Because now we go back inside where Ruby... Remember when I said earlier to focus on her noticing his time traveling? Suddenly, with just the idea that he was going to go, that he went back and fixed it, said he was going to go back and fix her and save her and this and that. She suddenly puts it all together that he's a time traveler. Just figures it out. Just does it. No real pieces put together. Just decides, oh, he suddenly appeared to me in the bar, and then after all the weird shit we did, he just mentioned after our conversation about time traveling, and then he said he was going to go back and fix it. I'm going to realize he's a time traveler. Okay. She then just F's off, says, bye, Mom, takes her jacket and leaves and goes outside. Old lady tells her to have a good time. We get a whole bigger on the inside moment without actually saying bigger on the inside. She goes inside. There's Shooty Gatwa. He claims to be the doctor, but he is in fact just Shooty Gatwa. And there we have it, the church on Ruby Road. I'm a little dead inside now.
Never seen a TARDIS before.
Doctor Who is dead. I was going to give Shooty Gatwa this episode, not to pull me back in, but to at least convince me that he'd put on a good performance. And from what I've seen in this Christmas special, he can't do that. And neither can Russell T. Davies. Russell T. Davies, who has written many a doctor moment and many a doctor speech in the past, can't seem to fart one out now. All we got is, why are you crying? All we got is, let's just gank everybody in sight to save the day. No doctor saves everybody or saves as many people as he can, or simply works way around it so that maybe, just maybe, we don't annihilate everything. That's what we got now, though. The doctor's just going to F all, do all, whatever he wants. Also, you realize what we got here. The goblins are just skipping through time travelers from another realm. They're not aliens. They're not anything remotely Doctor Who. They're just weird little creatures who want to eat babies seasoned by bad luck. That's their motivation. That's a Doctor Who villain? No. This Christmas special was not necessarily woke or anything like that, although there were woke moments in it. It was essentially just boring, stupid, poorly written, poorly acted, poorly paced. A lot of it didn't make sense. I didn't enjoy a moment of this, and I don't think you would have either if you watched it. But I watched it for you. That's the deal we make. And that is what I'm going to do come April when the next season comes around. Myself and Dermy Wormy will come together and give you a joint review of this atrocity, this abomination, this desecration of a corpse that we call Doctor Who. So R.I.P. Doctor Who, and I will see you next time. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you had a good one. Until then, take it easy. I'll see you on the next review. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you'd like to reach out to me, please email me at theranernerd@gmail.com for all channel business purposes. I am on Twitter now, mostly for promotion and sharing of videos, maybe a little shit stirring here and there, who knows, at @theranernerd. You can also find me at the Geeks and Gamers forums under @ROAS, and you can see me on Rumble and Odyssey under the Renaissance Nerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.